I'm going to be talking a little bit in code today because if you watch my channel and you watch my live, yes.
Is the plane going down? Are we gonna die? Why are you saying I'm sorry?
Sorry guys, I gotta grab a Pepsi. I'm dying of thirst. I just was downstairs speaking with this really nice gentleman, the security guy. So that's why I'm late. You always gotta make friends with the people in security, guys. Because if you lose your key or you lose your car. Hello. Good morning, guys. Hi, Deb. On vacation at the ocean. I want you guys to be able to see. I'm just trying to get a good spot for the camera so you guys can check out the ocean and the pool. Everything is really gorgeous. I'll give you guys a little look-skis. So beautiful. Really beautiful weather today. Thank you, Lord. We did not have great weather the day before, yesterday. So let's get talking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I just watched, trying to get caught up, so watching Behind the Velvet Rope. David had Allison from the Dinner Party from Hell. Do you guys remember that? At Camille's house? David has all the best guests, I swear. I don't have a good lighting, so you guys are gonna have to bear with me. Hey Lisa, nice to see you. We have to talk about New Jersey because I just watched Kelly Dodd's video. She has this source, okay, that is paparazzi. He was paparazzi. That's how she met him, I guess. He was like following her and taking pictures of her when she was getting divorced, allegedly, for educational purposes only. And so she was able to make friends with him, and he has a lot of connections, and her and Rick actually called him like live. So, yeah. Sorry guys, the security guard's hitting on me. Just saying, he just made me his friend on Twitter. So that was his message. Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Focus. Do not disturb. Okay, let's go. Let's talk, guys. I'm going to take questions as well. So if anyone has any questions, now is a great time to ask them. We're going to be talking about Mauricio, Kyle, and this Morgan Wade situation. We've never seen Kyle get caught by the paparazzi so much as we did this week, guys. I felt like we saw her pumping gas, which is so funny because we just saw Melissa Gorga pumping gas in her rainbow-colored bathing suit cover during Pride Week. Do you guys remember that? And everyone was basically kind of clowning on the fact that in New Jersey, it's illegal to pump your own gas. So it wouldn't really make sense for Melissa to be pumping her own gas in New Jersey. But they're like, oh, she was in New York. Okay. So I just feel like a little bit, I don't know. You guys know that Kyle and Melissa Gorga have been friends for years, okay? Years and years and years. Guys, I've posted photos of them from all the way back in like 2000, I want to say like 10 or 11 when they first came on the show. Let me open these blinds real quick so I have some better lighting. When they first came on the show, guys, they were making friends. Melissa and Joe were making friends with anyone they could make friends with. And the fact that Kyle, was, her claim to fame has always been the fact that Kathy Hilton is her sister. So it doesn't really matter where Kyle goes. She drops Kathy's name, and automatically people are going to be generated towards her and want to chat with her. So she makes friends that way. I think her and Mauricio have always kind of done that. And they've made friends with Melissa and Joe a long time ago. So Deb says, do you think it was a PR stunt by Kyle? Partially, but partially not, because of the fact that she seems to be taking her not drinking very serious. Okay, that's what I want to talk to you guys about, because again, Kelly Dodd has this source that is paparazzi that was taking pictures of her and her man, Rick, Fox 8 Rick called the paparazzi guy in their video, and they're like, we're not saying your name, but like, what are you hearing about Kyle and Morgan? And he alleges that Morgan is, in fact, Kyle's a sponsor. Either sponsor or sober support, however you want to label it, guys. I pinged this last week because Kyle has all of the signs, and it's not a bad, I mean, this doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, because we kind of have to commend Kyle for getting sober in the first place, because that's like a really hard thing to do. If you are someone who, it's hard, I know, for other people to not to understand, but it's kind of like take away your coffee and cigarettes. You're not going to like feel so great, right? You're going to want a cup of coffee. And if it's been 3 days since your last cup of coffee, and your husband gets up every morning and brews a cup of coffee, and you smell it through the house, and he pours himself this amazing glass of cup of coffee, and you're just sitting there like, mouth watering, right? So kind of like that, I would say, but probably increased by like 1,000. I'm sure that it wasn't something that was easy for Kyle, because Kyle is a lot like Kathy in the fact that her and Mauricio like to wine and dine. Sorry, the dryer. They like to wine and dine. They like to go out. They like to be like the fun people. Kyle's always been the fun girl at the party. And in order to do that, Kyle needs to have a couple of drinks in her. I'm not saying that Kyle necessarily drinks 3 martinis, 4 martinis a night, or that she day drinks, whatever the case may be. I think that Kyle's been open with us about her anxiety. We've seen her on airplanes. We know that a lot of times sobriety and mental health, it's a dual diagnosis, because a lot of times they're using whatever the drugs and the alcohol to treat maybe their anxiety. And Kyle's on anxiety medicine already. So sometimes, guys, those are antidepressants and anxiety medicine are like the worst things to mix with alcohol, and it can cause you to like black out, and you might only have one drink. It just, medication can do that to you. So Kyle's also on a medication. She's told us that that it would, her anxiety would be like what's the word, like it would be what is the word I'm looking for? She wouldn't be able to function if she wasn't able to treat the anxiety with her medication that she takes. Does anyone else remember the episode? It wasn't that long ago that she was talking about it. And I forget how, actually, I think she was talking about it because of Erica. Because we saw Erica drinking so much, she too also on anxiety and depression medication, and mixing the alcohol and it getting her wasted. Okay, let's not forget Erica last season. So we know that in all the housewives there's tons and tons of alcohol from morning till afternoon till night. Mauricio and Kyle live that kind of lifestyle where they're out and about in Beverly Hills. They run in social circles where drugs and alcohol are completely acceptable, i.e. Doritos dinner party. Does everyone forget that Lisa Rinna was like, hey, little weird that I was left at the table with the dealer while everyone else went in the house? Like, were people doing things in your bathroom, Dory? Is the separation real? I think so, Deb. I think that the separation is real. Lisa says she forgets words all the time. I do believe the separation is real, but I think it's been going on for a very, very, very long time. And so I do think the announcement of the separation is planned specifically. I think that they've been living different lives for a very, very long time. I think that Kyle and Mauricio both wanted the life that they have. They wanted money. They live in an area like Beverly Hills is no joke, right? And Kathy's she's never had to worry. So like, imagine having someone that had FU money and never ever had to worry, like as your sister, and like you want to be able to that's probably, if you're running with people that have a lot of money, like you're going to want that. And I think that Kyle and Mauricio, we first saw them come on the show. They had the children. They lived in an average house in Beverly Hills, which is probably nothing that I could ever even afford. But for Beverly Hills standards, it was so. And they've doubled their net worth every single year since she's been on the show. She's done other shows, the Halloween, the Christmas shows, and more importantly, Mauricio has built the agency, and the agency did something that other people didn't want to do, and it created competition for Hilton and Highland. Right? They really were their only serious competitors. And we know that Mauricio was working with the big boys when he worked under Rick, because Hilton Highland was the place to be. And he took all of that, and he started a multi-million-dollar agency all over the world, guys, not just in the United States. I mean, we're talking, they're all over the world. Like, that's insane when you think about it. Like, he didn't create like a business, like a security business, like Teddi's husband, like, and it's been in a short amount of time as well, which is what kind of makes me a little tiny bit suspicious. Does anyone else feel like it's a little suspicious that Kyle has doubled her net worth every single year since being on the show? And when I say doubled, I mean doubled. And then you have Mauricio, who has not only started his own company, it's not only nationwide, it is worldwide. And I don't know, it's just like, how does, like, they don't feel the effects of a bad economy. Everything is just booming when it comes to Kyle and Mauricio. And so it does, I think, make people a little bit skeptical sometimes, because Kyle didn't have the money that she has now. She did not, guys. She like made fun of Camille. She was very envious, I think, of Camille. I mean, they were devastated when Camille said that Kelsey wasn't going to do business with Mauricio. Just the thought of losing that commission alone, like, had Kyle ready to lick the bottom of Camille's feet. Okay, seriously. Go back and watch that episode. She takes Mauricio to lunch. She tells him, she pulls out like Blackberry. And and you can tell there's something's going on, right? And I think that there's also been a lot of rumors about Mauricio exploring his own sexuality. You know, we are putting a lot of pressure on Kyle and kind of speculating about her and Morgan, but leaving out the fact that we know that there's been sexual escapades that involved Mauricio and women of the night and more than one person. And just, and again, this was like 15 years ago, way before the LG, you know, the community had the support and people were comfortable talking about it and affiliating themselves. Like, back then you didn't see that as much. And this woman of the night, she wrote a whole book about it and she put him in it. She named it. She never got a lawsuit. She never got a cease and desist. Nothing. Okay, so there's been rumors. There was a blind item and a doxy to say that Kyle and Mauricio have spoke about him possibly exploring his own likes and dislikes. And it was relief to Kyle because she was feeling like maybe it was her in the relationship. Like, he didn't want to be with her. So, not like he didn't want to be with her, but like she wasn't pretty enough, which just sounds ridiculous because it's freaking Kyle Richards. She's gorgeous. She has the best doctors in the world. She's the money in the world, makeup, hair, body. I mean, she's a gorgeous woman. She has unlimited access to things. Like, you're beautiful. So it's hard for us to be like, how could Kyle Richards think that she wasn't pretty enough for Mauricio? Like, come on. But within their own marriage and their own space, that I think was something that they dealt with because of the fact of this book and the accusations that were in there about him and the threesomes. And there's also been rumors, I told you guys, and this hit the other day, about Kendra Wilkinson from, if you guys remember, The Girls Next Door. Three girls that were Hef's girlfriends that were featured on The Girls Next Door. One of them was Kendra Wilkinson. She went on to marry he was a football player or a basketball player. I think they were doing a reality show, and he too was actually caught in a sexual escapade. And it was labeled, like, they labeled the person as transgender and posted it everywhere. And she really went through I don't think they ever really recovered from that. Financially or like on the show, it's all documented. But then she went on to allegedly get her real estate license and work at the agency with Mauricio. There's also lots of people posting different DMs that they're getting that say, hey, Mauricio used to be here in Dallas. We would see him, arm in arm with another woman all the time, and it wasn't Kyle. Then we saw rumors from a gentleman in New York City that used to allegedly sleep with Paris Hilton's aunt. Again, I told you guys, Kyle has used and name dropped Paris and Kathy anytime that she needs to or can, okay? Like, let us not forget, if you guys go back and watch, Paris Hilton created reality TV with The Simple Life. Her and Richards. What was her name? I can't remember. The little one that was her friend. Lionel Richie's daughter? Yes. They did The Simple Life. And they did an episode where they fly in a helicopter to the Hilton mansion. And all of the people are there. I don't know who the people are, friends and family and producers. And they come in on a helicopter to the party. And Auntie Kyle is there. She has reddish brown hair, not her best look by a long stretch. I think she hates that episode, hates any pictures of it, but there are some. I'll have to post them for you guys. But she interviews with the camera, and she's like, as Paris Hilton's aunt, any chance she could, they were name dropping Paris. They were very happy when Paris was getting all the attention from the paparazzi. They used to sit on the corner down by their house in Beverly Hills, and that was a big deal for like Kathy and Kim and Kyle. Maybe not Kathy so much, but like Kyle and Kim, when they would go over there and the paparazzi would be outside the gate taking pictures. And the family was not, even though Paris was out partying, she was being known for partying, drinking. Didn't she get a DUI? I think she had to do like a couple of days in jail, whatever the case may be. It was very, very wild, and the family didn't care because it was bringing them attention, and that was like hard for us average folks to understand. But I believe it now, knowing how that family operates. Thank you, Deb, so much. Yes, guys, please make sure that you hit that like button. It's a great way to help support my channel. It helps get my video out there. Make sure you guys follow and subscribe. Turn your notifications on, because when I get good tea, I just come live and give it to you guys. So Sonia and Luann are doing The Simple Life, and it's Crappy Lake. It stinks. Also, Kelly Dodd is like going in on Sonia Morgan, guys. I don't know what the hell happened. I personally love Sonia, but I think it's a great example of, does she have a problem? Maybe not, but is she in trouble when she films with Bravo and they pour her alcohol from morning, noon, and night? Like, I'm sure that there is a lot of stuff, especially with the New York ladies. Luann, what about Kinsley? Lisa says she didn't watch them either. Kinsley got Kinsley was a very beautiful girl. She had family money. She married a very wealthy man, got divorced. She got arrested for like a disorderly down in Miami. I think Luann got arrested in Miami as well. She was on probation. She couldn't drink for a while as well. So we have other women that this has been an issue with before. So we can't really look at Kyle as like the exception, but we kind of have to admire the fact that she is getting the support that she needs to quit drinking, because obviously she has come to the conclusion that for her and herself, her life has become unmanageable when she drinks. Deb says, Lou too, she still drinks. If I drank like that, I'd be all swelled up. I don't know how they look so good. I don't know. Some of the time you can see it and it shows. Luann is some exception to the rule because she has this amazing, gorgeous, beautiful, like European body, and she's like very in touch with, like, she'll be naked, but she has like a gorgeous body, and she's very like European in that way, I guess is the way I would describe her. And I think it's kept her somehow very youthful, and I think that she has a very youthful mentality too. I like her. I like Sonia too. But when they drink, you don't know who you're getting. Look at Dorinda. Look at Dorinda. She's had some bad moments being She's from New York too, Lisa. Dorinda's had some rough moments on camera too. I specifically remember when Bethany took her to do I think it was the hurricane in Puerto Rico, when like there was the Puerto Rico, I don't think had electric for like days and days and days and days. It was bad. And I think Bethany had started some sort of a foundation, or she was something along those lines, and she was allowed to bring one person with her, and she brought Dorinda, and Dorinda drank herself at a dinner party with like these people that were like helping expedite all of these resources to Puerto Rico, and Dorinda was, whoop, she was sloshed, and it was rough. But I don't know, guys. I just, in my heart, I am telling you guys, Kyle got sober. She's not drinking. She's using Morgan as sober support. Is there something else going on there? I'm going to say likely. We're hearing the blind items that people are calling it like an emotional affair. But I'm going to tell you guys that, again, just like for you guys, sometimes it might be hard for you to understand how Kyle, like the AA, the not drinking, the temptation, the life becoming unmanageable, like just like for people out there that have a hard time understanding that, Mauricio likely has that same hard time understanding why Kyle can't drink and can't stop, but he can drink safely. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe she's looking at him like, yo, you get drunk 4 nights out of the week and you piss the bed. I don't know. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We just know that Mauricio looks like he partakes. Maybe she's partaking instead of drinking. But I think that Mauricio likely drinks a lot. And maybe she's looking at him like, you need to stop drinking too. And maybe he's like, well, just because you stop drinking doesn't mean I got to stop drinking. I mean, it's possible. It happens. It does happen a lot. Deb says Dorinda does a little Coca-Cola. Remember when Bethany said, everyone knows you do it, Dorinda? So Dorinda sort of delayed her grieving process, I think, because of the alcohol and Coca-Cola. And it's so funny because you know who else was hanging out with Dorinda and her boyfriend? They're from New Jersey. I'll give you one guess. Right around the time when they were making friends with Kyle Richards, trying to get into the housewives world any way that they could. Kyle and Melissa have been friends for a very, very long time, guys. We just didn't know it. And that's why we see plays that happen in Beverly Hills go down in New Jersey. Because I think that Kyle and Melissa move alike a little bit. Kyle always liked her margaritas. Absolutely, Deb. Skinny margaritas. Always drinking a skinny margarita. Because of the fact that alcohol, like somebody else said, Luann might drink a lot and they would be really swollen if they drank as much as she did. So sometimes, excuse me, if you are, just like with anyone that has, and if you're addicted to gambling, you learn to hide it, right? If you're addicted to whatever, like you're gonna hide it. You're protecting your secret, your thing. So maybe she switches it up, right? The tequila doesn't swell her, or we know that sometimes wine can put weight, anything with sugar. So we'll see a lot of times really skinny women, slender women, they drink Tito's because it's like sugar-free and gluten-free. And obviously, you know, a vodka. And who else? Gina quit drinking Real Housewives of Orange County. And we know that she had a DUI, and there seemed like a time when her life might have seemed a little bit unmanageable. And we've heard the same accusations with the Coca-Cola with her ex-husband, Matt, and everything that transpired that one night. Dorinda and her boyfriend, though, were really known around that area for being partiers. But I think that it really happened so much. We don't realize it. But so now that I know that, sometimes I'll watch things and I'll be like, I don't know. They seem like they might be a little, you know, I'd be looking at them a little cross-eyed. Like, you seem like you're on like cloud 9 a little bit. Look, I don't know. But we know that at the dinner party at Dorito's house, that it was alleged that they were partying. And if you go back and look at Dorito, which I love her, you know, I call her Dorito as a term of endearment. Like, Doritos are delicious. And if you go back and look at her when she first came on, she had really, really bad bags under her eyes. Like she had, like, I know that her babies were little. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying she looked like maybe she had been up for a couple of days and doesn't, eat a lot. Like, um, just my opinion. Deb says, you're the only content creator that got this 100% with Kyle having alcohol problems. Everyone else wants another direction. So congratulations to you, Lindsay. Great job. Thank you so much, Deb, for supporting me. I really appreciate that. I said it last week. I really pinned it. People were kind of like, they got it, but they didn't. And again, I think that anytime Mauricio wasn't supporting Kyle and her, again, for an alcoholic, it's hard for them to walk into the grocery store sometimes. If they're having a bad day and they walk into the grocery store and there's a whole wine section, beer section, how easy is it to pick that up and take it home and get drunk, right? It's very accessible. It's everywhere. It's advertised. It's made and propaganda to make it look sexy and everything else. So it's very difficult to move in your socials. People say when you get sober, you change people, places, and things. So how do you put yourself back in your social circle? And people are going to notice a difference. We don't even know her personally, and we noticed a difference, right? Didn't we? She lost a lot of weight. Now people want to say it was the stress. I don't know how or why she lost the weight. Maybe it's because she was drinking a lot, and when she quit drinking, she lost weight, because we know that alcohol can put weight on you. It can have a lot of sugar in it. Let me grab my charger, guys. Give me 1 second. My camera is getting low. Gotta find my charger. I gotta find my charger outlet. Damn it. 1 second, guys. I feel bad for Kyle because I think that, obviously, Kim had an issue. Kyle kind of outed her. She kind of did her dirty with that, guys, when she came out and said, you're a sick alcoholic. Remember in the, where were they? They were in the limo when they had the party, and Kim said, you stole my goddamn house. That's the same fight where Kyle comes out and says, Kim, you're sick and an alcoholic. Do you remember, guys? Charging. We're charging. We are good. I need to extend this a little bit, though, because it's got my, let's see here. Deb said, you opened my eyes because I wasn't at all my way of thinking. I never thought anything like that. Most didn't. You did. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, guys. It's really the truth. Like, if you are weak to something, like, just like Kim Zolciak, right? So she likes to drink and she likes to gamble. So she's hiding her gambling from Croy. We all know that. She's likely responsible for getting them into the financial mess that we see them in. And she's kind of saying, like, I had a problem. They're going to church now. That's good. We heard they're making up. Deb says, that's all that I think when this happened, how she shamed Kim for being a sick alcoholic. Absolutely, Deb, because here's the thing. When you you're foggy, if you're drinking a lot, if you're drinking and you take medication, those things are going to, that a couple of times a week, waking up, you're going to be kind of foggy, right? You're not going to always be 100%. And so I think that when you get sober and you start to examine your heart and yourself and your actions and how you acted and the things that you said and did, in AA, we would call those making amends to the people that we have wronged or have hurt along our way. So I think, again, that's step 4, I think, or 7. I think it's 4. And they do it with a sponsor. So the sponsor walks them through the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and sort of counsels them in like a lead by example sort of situation. And so I'm sure that Kyle was sharing a lot with Morgan about her life, about her mother. We know that her mother was, liked to be out. She liked to be at the bar. She was known for chasing men. She was known to have her own booth at the Beverly Hills Hotel, where she would drink all day and then routinely look for someone to take care of the tab. When Kim was child star and she made it big and she started to make big money, allegedly that's when Big Kathy divorced their dad, who was older than Kathy, Big Kathy. They actually moved from Oklahoma after Big Kathy married Ken, and they had the two girls because Kathy already had little Kathy. She convinced him that they could make it, that they were child stars, and he had the money and they moved to LA. So she was running the children around getting auditions for them, right? They were working. And once Kim finally made it big and they had enough money, Big Kathy was like, Ken, you're out. Okay. And she was basically a woman of a unconventional, a different caliber. I don't want to say anything poorly about the woman. Obviously, she's passed, but we know that she liked men. She liked to run in the bars. She liked alcohol. Okay. And then we saw poor Kim, because we know what goes down now. Now in 2023, we know what goes on behind the scenes with these producers. Imagine what it was like in the 70s when there was no sort of regulations, no Me Too movement. You just got kids. Kyle herself says she was driving to auditions when she was 13 years old. In her mind, she said, because my mom trusted me to do so. And every other account of people that were around at that time was like, no, it was because her mom was like passed out somewhere. Like Kyle was having to take care of herself. It wasn't because her mom trusted her and she wanted to drive the car to her own audition. It was because her mom wasn't prioritizing maybe what she should have been. We don't really know, but it was probably not a great environment. And then we see Kim, she, supports the family. She basically feels like she sacrificed her childhood to support her family. And then when it came time for her, when she was having her issues, she felt like that it was time for them to support her back. I don't know if Mauricio allegedly gave her a monthly salary. I don't know if I believe that or not. I think that it may have had something to do with the house in Palm Springs that the mother left them. Because here's the thing, guys. The mother was not dumb when it came to money and men. And she had a lot of properties. She had a lot, not just cash, she had a lot of assets. She used to brag after Big Kathy married Rick Hilton and Kim married her second husband, the very, very wealthy one. She would brag how, like, together her daughters were worth like millions and millions of dollars. So money was important to Big Kathy, and she wasn't stupid, and she owned a lot of homes, and she left the different homes to the daughters. And there was one left in Palm Spring, which was special to them because I think it was more so their family home, and they would celebrate Easter and holidays by driving down to Palm Springs and staying in the house. And that is allegedly the home that Kim is referencing when she says, you stole my house, my GD house, because the house was left to all three girls. And I think that Mauricio, who's coming out in the real estate business, wanted to sell it. And he said they probably bought Kathy out and they were going to buy Kim out. And Kim may have been away at the time, recovering, if you will. And so Kathy probably didn't care how much money she got because she already had money. So what does she care about this third share of a house in Palm Springs? But Kim, who's struggling, not working, coming out of maybe rehab or something along those lines, and they didn't even give her the option for her to save the house, right? Maybe she wanted to keep the house. Maybe she didn't want the money. Maybe they just kind of made the decision for her. Like, well, me and Kathy decided that we want to sell the house, so we're going to buy you out at this amount, and there you have it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kathy had a husband who bought her the Palm house. Yes. All three girls had a portion, but Kim needed the money. So she thought it was a loan, not a buyout. I'm sure it was something along those lines. I mean, it was probably a miscommunication. It was someone just making a decision for her. We don't really know. Hey, Camille. Hey, Sissy. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah, it's very problematic, and then it becomes a problem too, because now you have Kathy, who still is drinking and having a good time, right? Even though her and Kyle never really see each other. So I don't think that really impacts their relationship by any means. And I think that Brandy and Kim used to like live next to each other. And between me and you guys, I'm going to say they probably used to party hardy. Let's look at some comments. Yes, they screwed her out of the house. Yes, early on in the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Yes, they did. And then Kyle ended up purchasing a beautiful mansion in Palm Springs, if you guys remember. And she invites everyone in the cameras to her new beautiful Palm Springs home, including Kim. And I think we all kind of felt it. Like, this feels a little messed up, considering like you guys could have a home in Palm Springs that was all three of yours. Like, why wouldn't you just keep it? You guys can afford the upkeep. What's the big deal? Why do you have to sell it? Why do you have to make a profit off of it? Why do we have to turn it over? Like, it's our family home. Why don't we just split the upkeep, and whoever wants to go into the house goes into the house? What's the big deal? If you don't want to ever go in, I'll go in. And I think that they kind of treated Kim as if she wasn't responsible enough to take care of the home in the first place. Like, oh, if we leave it to Kim, she won't pay the taxes on it, and then she'll end up losing it anyways. So who knows? Who knows? And it's not like that was the only property that was left to them. Again, Kim and Kathy and Kyle's mom was not a dumb woman. She had a lot of money. She made sure that she had properties. Different properties were left to different girls, except for the Palm Spring, which was left to all three of them. Different jewelry, money, like there was a lot to be had. So there really it wasn't necessary maybe to be so greedy, if you will, or so quick to sell the house, because it had sentimental value, right? And again, Kim coming with the fact like, hey yo, bitch, like, I took care of us. I sacrificed my childhood and worked, and we lived good because of me, and now I'm down and out a little bit. Like, where you at? Basically, in my opinion, Camille says, basically, in my opinion, Kyle punishes Kim emotionally and psychologically for being the natural born star. That's very interesting. Kyle will never be a leading role. She is great at the supporting role. Kyle, I agree with you. I think that there's definitely a lot of issues there. A very dysfunctional dynamic. So a lot of times in a dysfunctional family, you have a dynamic where everyone has a role, and whenever they are dealing with each other, they fall into this dysfunctional role that they possibly likely had since childhood, right? And we see that with Kim and Kyle, because they become very much like girls when they fight. Their emotional maturity is when they're dealing with each other, they're so triggered by one another because of their wounds from childhood. I'm thinking they fall into like their little girls, like their inner self, right? Like they go back to being like little girls emotionally, and that's how they fight and communicate, because they trigger each other that they can't find a way to even communicate. And so that's why we see a fight in the limo. You sold my house. You're a sick alcoholic. You're this, like your kid's this. And it's very unhealthy. But again, even though like I want to talk about the scene from when Lisa Rinna and Kim Richards got into it, and Kim Richards said, let's talk about the husbands, because Kyle did something really interesting that somebody pointed out, and I want to point it out to you guys to see what you think. Basically, Kim, she killed it with Rinna. I mean, she killed it. She let Rinna have it. I feel like she did a great job of really letting her have it. And when she stands up and she says, like, let's talk about the husband. And we see Kyle run out the back door. Okay, I know you guys have all seen the clip of after when they're fighting and Lisa, she breaks the glass. Kyle literally like books it for the back door and runs out. And Kim and everyone's kind of like, wow, like, way to be there for your sister. Now I'm thinking Kyle was worried that Kim was going to talk about Mauricio and the women of the night and the transgender and the book. Maybe Kyle was nervous that Kim was going to talk about her husband as well. This says, yeah, I think Brandy got that right about the dynamic between Kim and Kyle. The year when they had their first alcoholic drink, their emotional development was stunted, and it happens all the time. Deb is correct with this. So what happens whenever that light switch goes off and they go from not alcoholic to alcoholic, their emotional maturity is stunted, and it will stay at that emotional that level of whatever mentality it might be, 15, 25, whatever, and they stay there while they're using or drinking, and they won't pick back up and start growing emotionally and maturing again until after they stop. So it's kind of like dealing with children. Thank Camille. I'll be opening my therapy office soon in 90210. Yes. I will come work for you. I will assist you, Deb. Seriously. I love Beverly Hills. If I had money, I would never want to live there and be poor, but well, it's so beautiful there. California is so beautiful. And the weather, it's like, damn, you think really living the dream out there. They have no idea when we're over here like living in like clouds of smoke from New York City. It's insane. But yes, guys, I just wanted to come on and talk to you guys, take a couple questions. I'll let you know that Kyle, even though I think very much she's loving all of the press. Okay, we've never seen Kyle so much. We've seen her pumping her gas. I saw her riding her bicycle with Louis Vuitton bags on either side. Like, I saw her with Morgan. It's like, if you don't want people saying that, though, you gotta kind of chill a little bit. Like, seriously. And so, again, if you missed it at the beginning of the show, I was telling everyone that Kelly and Rick did a show the other day, and they were talking. They called their source, who was paparazzi, and he said that they were hearing that Morgan was a sponsor to Kyle. Do I think that they have something else between the two of them? For sure. Again, when you are working a program, you're going to be like, your sponsor becomes your therapist. They know everything about you. You're sharing a lot of emotional wounds and traumas and triggers and situations and feelings with them. You develop a trust, you develop a relationship. This person learns to understand you better than your family. They understand you better than your husband. You feel misunderstood around your friends. You feel like you stand out because you don't drink anymore. Everyone else drinks. You feel uncomfortable when it comes time for you to order, and everyone else ordered their drinks, and then they ask you, why aren't you drinking? And it's a whole thing. And I think that Mauricio probably not being able to support Kyle the way that she needed to be supported, not having the understanding that she needed, and maybe not having his own willingness to examine maybe things that she was concerned with and his actions, maybe when he drinks. And so I think that that's really driven her into the arms of Morgan. And that's my opinion. I think people want it to be juicier. I think that the timing is perfect. I think that there's definitely been a separation between Mauricio and Kyle for a very, very, very long time. I don't think that it was necessarily the alcohol. Do I think it contributed? Probably. Okay, guys, we know that alcohol will intensify, especially fighting between couples. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We don't know how Kyle and Mauricio fight. We just know what they let us know, what they show us. And we see a very loving couple who seem to love and respect each other and love their children. But that doesn't mean that they're in a traditional like marriage. They have a lot of the same goals, and they have an understanding that sometimes when you're climbing the ladder of society, or you're climbing the ladder in the corporate world, whatever the case may be, it's nice to have a wife on your arm and be the family man. People trust you more. Like, they know that. They play off of each other because they both wanted money. They both wanted fame. They wanted to be in Beverly Hills and be doing what they do. And so, in order to do that, they sacrificed by staying together, but doing their own thing. Again, the guy from New York City that was allegedly sleeping with Paris's Aunt Kyle, like, before Kyle was famous. I mean, I don't know. I just think that likely Mauricio, I think, has been a little bit more out and about because we've heard a lot of rumors of him with girls in the Dallas airport. There's been a lot of DMs, bathrooms, also significant. I think I heard Freddie was on Sherelle's World and actually, like, there was a girlfriend somewhere along the lines. I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but allegedly Freddie exposed it. I haven't had a chance to talk to him because he's like on Europe time. He's all the way in England, so it's hard for me to sometimes get a chance to talk to him. We miss each other. I actually don't want to know. Kyle's storylines bore me. If they broke up, that's sad news, which I don't want to hear anyway. But if Kyle and LVP make up, I'd watch that. That is so funny. People are also saying that Kyle, in this maybe subconscious way, was like, you know what? LVP wants to try to get all this attention for Vanderpump Rules and the whole Tom Sandoval scandal. She upped it. She upped the ante. She was like, checkmate, Lisa. What now, honey? Look at the rumors about me and Morgan Wade. Because who would really be? I mean, I wouldn't be mad if someone said I was dating Morgan. She's beautiful. She's talented. She's a singer. She's gorgeous. Like, I'd be like, I mean, if you wanted attention, you wouldn't be mad about that, right? Who's going to be mad about that? Mauricio. But does Kyle really care? No, because she wants to make him jealous anyway. She doesn't even know if he doesn't even know if she's what he likes or not. But I mean, to be at your age and be married that long and say that you still want to explore your sexual options, that's a little kind of terrifying, that if you haven't done that already. And I don't know. I had a friend who she was married out of high school, and I think they were married for like 3 years. And the last 6 months of her marriage, he just stopped coming home. Like, he would come home during the day, and if his mom was coming over, everything would be normal, and then he would leave. And she had no idea what was going on. She was very much, I mean, she knew something was going on, but she had no idea that it was, he had decided that he, didn't want to be with her, and he was with a man. So it can be very hard on a woman too, I think, when they have a man that's confused on his own preferences. I think it makes it hard on them too, because already Kyle has, eating disorder, she says, and some insecurities. And so kind of makes for a rough situation on her, I would say. Deb, I wonder all the time if this kind of money brings happiness or just makes things in life that make everyone happy just seem to slip away. It starts out normal and then it's no happiness there. It's a bad situation over there. I think it all depends on people's morals and values and what you value in life. I personally measure my life by the quality of relationships and the people in it. Like, I think love is what's most important, but obviously money is the root of all evil. People, the more money you make, the more money you want to make, the more money you spend. And so I think it's easy for people to, they live in California. It's very much keeping up with the Joneses. Money is status there. And not old money, new money. Whoever's new money, they don't care. As long as you got money in LA, that's all that matters, right? We hear all about all the crazy Hollywood parties. I mean, the place is kind of terrifying. After I had a friend from high school, he moved out to LA to go to film school. I think he worked at the Chinese theater, and he lived in an apartment building not far away from there. And that was in the early 2000s, and it was insane then too. So the stories, the homeless people, guys, there's so many. I think that it would be the hardest thing to have such a gap in, like, to have so many people that are so much money so much money, and then other people that don't have any. And there's a lot of homeless people there, and they say it's a problem, right? They're like, the weather is nice, but it definitely poses a problem to the community. And so I think when you have such a gap, that would be hard to drive past. For me, it would be hard to make millions and drive past homeless people every day. I would be like, you get a house, you get a house, you get a house, you get a house. I'd be handing out mini houses. I mean, I can't help it. I carry like stuff now to give away when I see people. Like I have like little care bags so that I'm not, I'll give money because listen, my part is just doing the act of kindness out of like love, and whatever they use the money on, that's on them. I did my part. I can't judge you for what you do, but I like to have little care packages too, because one time I was like really cold. I gave a lady, gloves, and being born into money is much more fun than making it from nothing. That is so funny. And that is what Kyle, and it was kind of passed down to Kyle too, because here's the thing, it was very engraved in the girls that they needed to marry somebody with money. I've talked about with you guys before how we know that Kim originally married whom this guy she loved. I think he ended up passing of cancer. He came on the show for a little bit, but she was very young, and Kathy was taking her around like Rick's very wealthy, experienced men, trying to find her a very rich, suitable partner, right? And and when you look, I saw this picture of Kim. She had on like a little plaid skirt and like a headband and a sweater. Like she was like 20, and she was in a room full of what looked to me like sharks, literally. And it was Kathy's people, it was Rick's people, but Kim was much younger than them. So it's been very much engraved about marrying for money. We know that Kyle's first husband ended up being a doctor, right? And Mauricio didn't necessarily have a lot of money when they got married, but I think that he came from family money. His parents are pretty wealthy. They like vacationed in Vail, okay? They had money. We know they had money. So make sure that you guys hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn your notifications on. I'm on vacation at the ocean, trying to keep up with everything that's going on. I also saw Alison Dubois on David Yontov's podcast. I thought it was so funny. Yes, thank you for bringing this up, guys. Yes, Kyle and Kim have half brothers and sisters that they don't even speak of, okay? They're not their dad's only children. There are other children out there. And that's a kind of an estranged, weird situation too, because you have half siblings. They're not Kathy's half siblings, because Kathy has a different father than Kim and Kyle. Kim and Kyle have the same father, but he has other children. He actually had a wife after Big Kathy divorced him, and she interviewed for the book The House of Hilton. And that book is where we get a lot of information, a lot of insight into what Big Kathy was like. And we hear it from friends and family. And we also hear from Ken Richards' wife at the time. There's stories of her drugging like people, and like, roughing people up at the bar, and just a lot of stories, a lot of like not so great stories for Kathy, like just maybe having the baby with her and visiting a cousin, and Kathy would left and didn't come home for like 10 hours. Like, again, does that qualify you for AA or a program if you drop your baby off and you don't come back, you go to the bar and you don't come back for 10 hours? I don't know. I'm just saying. This is the account that people gave. This was their experience. Reality TV is fake. Materialism leads to nowhere. Focus on your life and Jesus Christ. Love this. And, love is part of the gospel, to love your neighbor. So love that. All this is putting Erica's storyline on the back burner. Thank you, Camille. Thank you for this, because here's the thing. You're right. Nobody is talking about the fact that the CFO, I think it was, I did videos on this, the CFO from Girardi and Keys was indicted. He tried to flee to the Bahamas. he was embezzling money, which Tom probably knew. That's probably Tom how was taking care of him, because his salary was only a couple $100,000 a year. Like, to be in LA and to be the CFO of Girardi and Keys and your salary is $200,000 a year. Are you freaking kidding me? That's nothing in LA. That's like nothing. Sorry, guys. That's like nothing. So he was obviously taking money on the side. He also had a lady of the night, and she had connections, honey. And she found out that they was looking for him. So he took off to the Bahamas. Yes, honey. He had enough money that he had embezzled from burn victims and, women who got cancer from birth control and all sorts of things. He just was taking that money and he bought himself a nice little house down in the Bahamas, and that's where he was going to stay put until he came home for Easter. And they met him at the airport. But it was actually the prostitute that tipped him off. I don't know if I'm allowed to say prostitute, but it was actually his regular woman. She tipped him off that they were coming for him, and so he bought a property down in the Bahamas, and he left the U.S. and was down there, and they didn't go get him. They waited for him to come home for Easter, and they arrested him, and he has a very, very, very high bond, and he's actually sitting in jail. So when this happened, I was like, where is Girardi's indictment, and where's his bond? Okay, because here's the thing. Why doesn't he have, if he has criminal charges, he should have to post the bond. Why does he just have on his own recognizance? Debbie says, I really wish the government would send Tom's butt back to Italy. I mean, there were questions about his actual, just like Joe Giudice. It's basically the same exact situation. We have a lot of forged documents. Tom had no computer documents. He did everything on paper. They went in with asbestos covered and went in the office and took all the files, because he had files from the freaking 60s, 70s, 80s on everyone in Hollywood. Everyone, like New Jersey. We can talk New Jersey for a second. The last time I talked to my source, I don't know what's going to happen, because it seems a little bit like producers, like, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense unless if they bring them back and then wrap everything up this season, and then next season cut both and bring in, because they were casting. They were casting. This doesn't make a lot of sense, okay? It doesn't make a lot of sense. New Jersey was casting. They were interviewing. They were, gearing up. Now they're going to bring Melissa and Teresa back to wrap everything up. And then next season, both of them, is kind of what I think could be happening. I hate to say that, but I feel like Bravo has done Teresa very dirty, very, very dirty over the years. She's made a lot of money, so I don't think she really gives an F, because it's the name of the game. She's been number one since day one, right? Like, she has. She's an OG. She's been through a lot. Maybe they haven't treated her great, but it's allowed her to provide an amazing life, an amazing income for her family, right? So she's taken it, and she gets paid very well to take it. And I appreciate the fact that she takes it and doesn't complain about it, because I get tired of hearing Andy Cohen complain about how he has to sit through a reunion. Come on, guy. Please. So she takes it. But I feel like they're bringing them back to bring some closure for the fans, because fans have been going wild over New Jersey since we're still talking about it. This is insane. We've literally been talking about Teresa and Louis for almost an entire year. Their wedding was last August. Maybe they're going to bring them back and try to wrap that whole thing up in a package and then be like done with both of them and cut the Gorgas, Joe, and Teresa and Melissa. I don't know. I would hate to see that, but it's like, why else would they be doing that? I don't know. Because people are tired of the storyline. To recover that, but at the same time, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Why Margaret? I mean, Jen Fessler, like, really? I don't want to hear Jen Fessler. I definitely don't want to hear Jen Fessler now that I know that she wasn't even friends with Margaret before the show. She was friends with Ziggy. She knew Ziggy, or Jen Fessler's sister was best friends with Ziggy her whole life. So Jen Fessler didn't know Margaret this whole time. She doesn't have a reason to be loyal to Margaret to no end on Watch What Happens Live and the after show, and every single question that she's asked that pertains to Margaret, she goes on some kind of dumbass rant about how she's so loyal to Margaret, or she defends her, and I don't want to hear it. Who wants to hear someone that just consistently professes their loyalty to their coworker? Andy's still in high school telling everyone he doesn't like, they can't sit with him. I mean, it's ridiculous. We can't stand this because it's going to be a repeat of Margaret and Fessler coaching and rehearsing to bring Teresa down. I agree. And that's what I'm saying. Like, something is amok with Andy Cohen. I don't like his book and the way that he spoke about Teresa and how he thought season 13 might be her last season. The way he treated her at the reunion. We know that Louis does have money. So Teresa probably, maybe she don't have to work, but I'm sure the extra $2 million a year helps when you have, $2-3 in college. Plus all the endorsements. And Teresa's been working this whole thing and making money and taking care of things for a long time. So I think she's really been in the motion of go, get the money, here, there, wherever she's got to go, she does it. And she doesn't say no to things. And I like that about her because I think it shows a good work ethic. So, she's like, well, you guys treat me shitty and you do me dirty by my own family, but it's $2 million. So, I mean, is that what we're seeing? I don't know. He had Tamara, the woman can't throw shade to save her life, and Teresa is the most. I know. I can't stand Tamara and Andy together because they are like mean girl. Tamara is struggling to get, stay on Orange County. She's on the podcast. I'm so glad actually that you brought that up. I'm going to talk about this really quick and then we're going to wrap up. Teddi is on the podcast. Teddi Mellencamp, who talks about everything and everyone because it's her job to talk about it because she's qualified to talk about it. And now she's not talking about Kyle Mauricio. I find this very strange. I told you guys I thought this was really strange because I think that if there was no validity to the situation with Kyle, the sober thing, and Morgan, Teddi would be screaming it from the rooftops. She would be defending Kyle to and back and sideways and zigzag and 2 times over. She would be defending Kyle. Okay, and she's not. So that tells me this is a game. It is some press. It is definitely some press. It's they want to start filming for New Jersey. They want to get contracts going. They feel like they're losing money sitting, but at the same time they're trying to starve up, the Gorgas and Margaret. So they want to start filming. They want to start moving. They want to start getting things in motion. And I think that the fans consistently staying on topic as it pertains to the Gorgas and not being exposed, and the reunion not showing what it needed to show as far as the things that Melissa and Joe did to Teresa over the season. So maybe Andy's trying to bring some closure to that this season. Did you know that Andy didn't think Bethany would be a good housewife and didn't cast her, but execs back then overrode his decision? He's a crap producer. VPR isn't produced by him, which is why it's good. Andy also seems to have no problem taking sides regardless of how the optics look. I agree with you. Like, he has a personal stake in it. That's a great point. You would think, yes, exactly. It's like he doesn't, I agree with you. And it's not like he just does it with one. You're like, okay, he really, they've been working together since whatever the case may be, yada, yada, yada. But he'll do it with like one out of each franchise. So one, it becomes less meaningful because it's like, well, you really don't care. And secondly, yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I gotta wrap this up. I gotta get out of here. I hope that you guys have a great day. I'm gonna finish up this vacation. I'll be back Saturday, and we'll be back talking. Also wanted to tell you guys, check me out with the New York gal. She is a amazing podcaster. She is on Instagram. She has a marketing background, and she talks housewives. So she has been hosting me on Wednesdays, and we are getting into, she has a lot of great sources as well. So we've been kind of chatting about New Jersey, and I think we have a couple we drop every Wednesday. So we'll have one coming this Wednesday that you guys will probably really like. So if you guys are into the podcast world, then you guys should check that out. And also, guys, I hope you have a great day. Camille, Deb, I love you guys. You guys kill me. You make me laugh. How is Andy so dismissive to Garcelle when all the fans were waiting? I know. He likes all the housewives he can blow snow with, in my opinion. I actually kind of feel like there's some validity to that, Camille. And I think that's kind of why him and the Gorgas get along so well, because we hear that a lot about them. If you know, you know. Bye, guys. Have a great day.